Alright, the last thing that you need to do here is solve for complex solutions of a quadratic. And so we'll go ahead and take a look here. On our first problem, A, we've got x squared plus 4 equals 0. And we're going to solve for x. We're going to move the 4 to the other side. And we'll say x squared equals negative 4. Now, before this section, we would have said we cannot solve that. There's no solution here. But if we use imaginary numbers, there actually is a solution. We're going to say now that x squared equals, sorry, let me go one more step. If we take the square root, x equals the square root of negative 4, which before we wouldn't have been able to do, but now we can change this and say square root of 4i, or equals plus or minus 2i. Alright, two solutions. Let's take a look at B, where we also should have two solutions. On this one, we're going to go ahead and use the quadratic equation, which we should remember as negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's go ahead and plug in what we've got here. X equals negative 2 plus or minus negative 2 squared minus 4, 3, 5 all over 2 times 3. And so we've got 4 plus or minus 4 minus 60 all over 6. And so 4 minus 60 in here is where we get into the imaginary stuff. 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 56 all over 6. All right, negative 56 is the same thing as saying 4 plus or minus the square root of 56 I all over 6. And does 56 have any perfect squares that come out of it? Let's see. That would be 25 plus 3, 28. So that would be 2 and 14. That would be 2 and 7. So yes, it does. We can bring out a 2 on the outside, so 4 plus or minus 2i square root of 14 all over 6. And since everything is even, we'll simplify it one more step. 2 plus or minus square root of 14i all over 3. Alright, if you were able to get all the way through that, feel pretty good about this section. Let's try one problem on your own and we'll be all done. Problem 69 is the one for you to try. Alright, so we're going to go quadratic again on this one. And hopefully at this point you know the formula. I'm just going to plug them in. Okay, so we should have A is 1, B is negative 2, and C is positive 2. We'll clean this up. 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 8 all over 2, which is the same as saying 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 over 2. And so 4 plus or minus the square root of 4i over 2. And so we'll say 4 plus or minus 2i all over 2. They're all even, so we'll finish this up by saying 2 plus or minus 1i. Nice job if you were able to get all the way through that.